This year respond to certain issues that was raised in the news desk report that was done. One, if they say Kumasi is not part of the initial plan of the budget, that's not accurate. When you go through and I've given Joel the screenshot, you put it on board. When you go through the agreement the World Bank had with the government of Ghana, there are 6 places that the piloting project was to be. When you come to Ashanti region, Greater Kumasi, and Ejusu Jabin. So Kumasi was part of the initial plans for the BRT. So
according to the World Bank?
No, according to the World Bank and the government's own
okay.
data. So it's not accurate for anybody to say the Kumasi or Ashanti was not part of it. In Greater Accra, it was Gan West, Gan East, Tema, and Accra proper. So that is that. Now, David, this process didn't begin under the Mahama regime or the Mills regime. It actually began under the Kufuor regime at the twilight of the administration in 2008. Then the Mills Mahama inherited it. Now the contract with the World Bank was signed in June 2012. And David, the entire contract sum, when you read the report of the Committee of Road and Transport on the 16th of July 2014, the contract sum was $110 million. But at the end of the day, the contract sum, as my data shows or picked, is 151 million Ghana cedis. $million. Let's even say we are using the 100 and David, this is the document. When you read the Committee of Roads and Transport, they say the total cost for the procurement, which include the supply of auxiliary parts and services, is $110,733,461 as at 2014. Now, David, the contract was between the government of Ghana for the procurement of the buses and Scania CVAB, which is a Swedish company, but they supply the buses from Southern America, which is they have a plant in Brazil, and that's where they supply the buses. When you read the government of Ghana's own data, they were supposed to supply 295 buses. When President Mahama was doing the inauguration of the buses on the 25th of November 2016, the bus that has come was 245. And each bus was bought at $251,600. $251,600. Now, the project was not a grant, meaning that we took loans to do this. The loan was financed by the Agence Française de Développement, AFD, and the World Bank. Now, because the BRT was supposed to reduce people using their own cars and all that, basic climate science, meaning that the reduction in the fumes from cars, the environment is protected and all that. So the Global Environmental Trust Fund gave us a grant of $7 million. So when you subtract the $7 million from the 151 we so far spent, let's even say for purposes of agreement, per the government's own data, is $110.7 million, $110.7 million. So subtract the 7 from that, you have about $103.7 million, which is the loan. So David,
what's the loan figure again?
My data shows $151 million, but I'm saying that for the purposes of agreement or argument, we are using $110 million based on the Roads Committee's own data. Out of that money, only $7 million was a grant, meaning free money given to us by the Global Environmental Facility Trust Fund, because buses will reduce the emission that will pollute the environment and all that. So they are trying to help our cause to get the BRT. Now, David, do you know the sad part of it? Now, if Joel will show you the 6.5 of the government's own report, when the buses came in 2016, even proud that, and let's not forget, per our constitution, any international agreement between the government of Ghana and the international body must be ratified by the people, which is the Parliament of Ghana. The 6.2 of the committee report states, and I'm quoting for you, 6.2. So when you go through the 6.2, it says, and I'm reading, the useful economic life of the Scania buses, and it's on our Facebook page, was noted to be 10 years, which the committee finds acceptable. Listen, the useful economic life of the Scania buses was noted to be 10 years, which the committee finds acceptable. What that means is that the bus came in 2016. Simple math. It means that by 2026, the buses, yes, it will be operating, but the viability of the buses will be reduced. So you have literally about 3 years to go to make any meaningful, deductions or contributions from the bus to be able to defray the loans you accrue to buy the buses. That's the first point. Now, David, the dedicated land that was supposed to be done, there's a small bit of it was done on the Kaswa Road in Accra for Kumasi. No dedicated loan had been built. But when the contract was signed in June 2012, per my documents and per the World Bank's own data, by December 2012, the World Bank has released $45 million. Contract signed in June 2012. World Bank released $45 million out of the pledge $99.5 million. So again, I told you, the road committee says the contract is $110.7 million. The World Bank was giving us $99.5 million, meaning that there's a difference of about $15 million, right? That's where the AFD comes in. That's where the Global Environmental Fund comes in, and the government of Ghana's own commitment. And my documents show, as of December 2012, $45 million were released when you go to the World Bank website. Now, before Mr. Wilson comes in, Manasseh did this investigation a few years ago and wrote to the World Bank. Let me read for you what the World Bank said. The World Bank said that in a post-completion analysis of the project, the bank rated the completion performance unsatisfactory. The procurement of buses by the government represented a deviation from the original plan of establishing a limited competitive regime for public transport operators along major routes. Now, when you read all this, I don't want to bore you with the nomenclature. When you read the World Bank's response to Joy News about 3 years ago, the GPRT, or when you read the committee's report, was supposed to be the ones and private transport operators to champion the buying of the buses, not the government of Ghana. So what changed?
Which means that the government of Ghana should have made the environment enabling enough.
Exactly. And all that they had to do was to create the dedicated
and the GPR to go in and buy
and facilitate the private sector to buy those buses. But we ended up buying 245 buses, totaling $61.6 million. One bus being $251,000. And David, 2016, the exchange was about 4 cedis. So calculate. So we bought a bus close to about $1 million. And the bus had a 10-year youthful economic life. This is not me saying. This is the Committee of Roads and Highways, Committee of Experts. So, David, this is basically how I want to...
Randy, I'm sure that for taxpayers who are listening to us this morning, and for people who love this country and wish this country well, this is disturbing. What will be your initial response to all that we've talked about so far?
Well, thank you for the